what concerned me was the being able to have an understanding of what it feels like when they start losing muscle mass and it's slowing them down because it looks like they didn't put on any weight, but really they did because they lost the muscle mass and it was replaced with the weight, the fat, and it just slows them down even more. My heart kind of bled a little bit for them because it made things a little bit more understandable. Come on, like, can you walk a little faster? And they can't. And now I'm the one that feels like the jerk.
Welcome to the Aging Parent Trap X podcast and YouTube channel. My name is Allison Newland. I'm the broker owner of Platinum Properties of Florida in the greater Tampa area. I am joined here with my friends and colleagues, Julie Cook with Generational Transitions and Nikki Flynn with Elite Preparation Services. And today we are going to do something really, really cool. If you know who Mel Robbins is, she is the author of the Let Them Theory. I'm going to link all this stuff in the description below. So don't worry if you haven't listened to that book, read that book, do yourself a favor and definitely do that. And you'll fall in love because she is awesome. It is just a really great way for you to take a good look at yourself and how you react to things. But she has a very popular podcast. And she teamed up with a person from MIT, and Julie sent this to me. So I'm going to let Julie talk about this for a second. But the podcast was very interesting, and so Julie, you tell me what intrigued you to send it to me so that we could talk about it today.
Well, I love Mel Robbins. I was introduced to her about a year ago, and she is fabulous. And so this one, when it talked about aging, obviously because of my profession, struck my attention. And then I saw her in this spacesuit all dressed up, and I was like, what is that? So I watched the podcast, and the more I watched it, here's what resonated with me is she talked about they deck her out. I don't know if you're able to show part of it.
I'm going to. Yeah. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Yeah. Share it.
You go ahead and talk, and I'm going to pull it up as you're talking.
So they put her in this whole suit to simulate what it's like to get older. And there's weights and there's things that, special shoes that make her gait wobbly. And there's things on her hands to mimic arthritic hands. And she's wearing funky glasses for her vision and a thing around her neck because you don't have the mobility you used to. And what registered with me is that she said while she's doing all of these things and having difficulty, she remembers when these things were not difficult. And the frustration of, there she is all decked out. She used to be able to get in and up out of a chair, no problem. Run up and down the stairs, no problem. Pick up a basket of laundry, no problem. Remembering I used to be able to do all of that, and now it's so much of a struggle, really resonated with me. Like, man, that would be tough knowing I used to, and I can't really do much about this.
Right. So
it's just a process
that the people at the MIT, which is a school for very smart people up in the Northeast, if you don't know, is that they made this like suit to mimic what it is like to be in an aging body. And so even her shoes, the shoes that she described were Crocs, but they had a foam bottom on them that it was, right now they're showing like eye goggles to mimic like really bad eyesight, but the shoes, have like a rounded bottom. So it puts you off balance a little bit. And it really made her feel uneasy when she was walking. Let's see if I can, there are the shoes down there and see if I can get a picture, get a video part of that. But, and then there were some bungee cords that made her walk like she couldn't take long strides, right? So like short steps. Like, does anybody here remember like the Carol Burnett show and Tim Conway, and he would just shuffle like this, like he was like the clockmaker or something.
Tim Conway.
Yeah, and
Nikki's
he would just
too
shuffle
young,
it
but I
and
remember.
and the people would be like waiting for him because he was taking so long. Well, so there are the shoes right there, and you know they're showing, but it's wobbly, and she couldn't, and the bungee cords attached to him. She can't take a long stride, and so yeah, I mean, this is really very interesting because we do get impatient
Yeah.
with like I said, it takes me, I have to make sure that whenever I go pick up my mom, I really allow for like 20 minutes for her to get in the car because it takes that long. So
Yeah.
anything adds 40 minutes because it's the
Yeah.
getting in, the getting out. And yeah, I do get frustrated and I feel bad and guilty about that. Um, but maybe I wish we could get this suit for, I probably should spend an entire day in this suit as punishment for my sassy behavior. But Nikki, you were saying something really interesting. And I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Or maybe I can, well, Nikki, I want you to talk about what you were talking about in terms of the exercise, stuff. If you don't mind.
Yeah, the number one thing that when you age into Medicare is the doctors are always making sure that the patients are doing exercises. So they have them doing Zumba or yoga, just trying to get them mobile because you, as we talked about before, the fall that could end it all. And depending on your age and depending on the type of fall that you had, it could permanently debilitate you or handicap you for the remainder of your life. And like they talk about in this video is where you break up your life into like quarters of 8,000 days. So when you think about it, you think, oh, once I turn 65, okay, well, it's smooth sailing from there. Everything will be great. But you don't take into consideration how your body is going to start what everybody says, my body hates me. My body's, working against me. And that's kind of what is taking place. So when the doctors are trying to push the healthy eating, the healthy exercising, and the mobility for the senior patients, it's to get them to not go through what she was talking about, where you're losing muscle mass, but you're still carrying around that weight. So it's still a workout. It's still exhausting. You still get fatigue because you're still carrying around that weight, but you don't have the muscle mass anymore. So it just takes you longer to do things. So the doctors now and it's part of like CMS's regulations for Medicare doctors is to make sure that they're monitoring the body mass index, they're keeping an eye on their diet, they're maintaining their health, and they're pushing the exercises as much as possible because they want them to still stay mobile and active. Because when you start going immobile, that's it. There's no coming back from that.
Well, I'll tell you, watching my in-laws, my mother-in-law first, and then my mom go through, like my mother-in-law, she fell a couple of times and then we'd have to go and help her get up. And she never was like an exerciser person. She would just do like the stationary bike at home or whatever, but she never was one to lift weights or anything like that. But I watched her, I watched my mom who did a lot of cardio, like tennis and that kind of stuff, but never went to a gym to lift weights or anything. And I watched them struggle just to, really, walk, get up from a chair, get on the bed, get off the bed, just, and if they fell on the ground, forget about it. There's no getting up. And I watched that and I was like, as you're going through things like that, things come up on your social media feeds. I don't know how, like, it hears you talking about stuff. It really does. And so, then people working out would come up on my social media feeds and like older women, she's like, well, I'm lifting this 65-pound weight so I can lift my body later on when I'm 80. So I started to lift weights about 2 years ago, not quite 2 years ago, because I personally would like to maintain muscle, and I'm not like a super skinny person. I'm not an overweight person, really. I'm just kind of average. There's muscle under here. There's muscle under. Oh, look, I have a little muscle right there. Look at that.
Look at you.
But I've been working on it so that I can be the strongest one in my assisted living facility one day. Like I want that to happen, but we have to, as Gen Xers, do that now. I think is the sentiment that Nikki was saying, is that if they have them do it now as a senior, but it's almost a little too late because there's no way, that they're going to build up the muscle mass. But we can, I think with the Mel Robbins podcast and seeing and understanding what it's like. And really, we're going to link that in the description below, that whole podcast and YouTube video. You can watch it and you can really get an understanding of what it feels like when she's wearing that suit. And maybe your patience level will change a little bit when you watch it. Cause she was like, geez, I really had no idea. I can't hardly bend down to get the laundry basket. I have to pick up something off the floor. I can't do that. Oh, I'm sitting down on a chair. Now I can't get up like I remember doing 5 minutes ago when I didn't have this suit on. And now I should be more patient with seniors. And she said she felt like a jerk for having certain thoughts or not being as patient. So that's one thing that this video and this topic that we're discussing can help us with, but also being of a younger age, let's get to the gym now. Let's start lifting those weights now so that we help our own selves in the future. So our own family members and caretakers, don't struggle as much and we don't struggle as much. I guess that was the kind of takeaway thing. Oh, and also she had little gloves on. I'll see if I'm going to share the screen again. Somebody talk about the little gloves and the arthritis while I'm finding that. I don't know who watched that part, but I did.
I did. So she had these gloves on that simulate arthritic fingers. And that caught my attention because I have this one finger that is starting to get one of those knobs on the side of the knuckle. It resembles my aunt's hands. And I was like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? But it gets sore periodically. So to see her in gloves and both hands have that situation going on, I know how it bothers me.
Right.
And I think it just gives you a whole new perspective. Like even, I think Nikki was the one that mentioned it takes like 20 minutes to get in and out of the car. And I would be prone to get impatient with that until I see this and realize, like we talked about, they're concerned about falling. If we stumble or something, we can catch ourselves. If they fall and God forbid they can't catch themselves, they're on the ground and now we've got a whole different situation. So I think something like this just gives you empathy, one, for what they're physically going through, and then just to be aware that, hey, we're all going to be in these shoes one day. And the professor even says at the beginning that aging is a gift. And sometimes folks who are older don't see it that way. Right. But the alternative to this is not good. So you know what? I'd rather have trouble getting out of the chair, but I want to be patient with those folks. That's what I got from it.
There she is in the chair. Sorry, I went through a few commercials and everything, but and they were talking. Oh, here's the. Hopefully, I don't get another commercial here. I think I might. Oh, look. So she's got these gloves on, and she's trying to text. Let me see if I can get her.
Up.
So why don't you send him a photo as well?
Okay, I probably should, since he doesn't know what age suit means.
Sure, you sent it to Chris and not somebody else.
It's a pain.
So you want to phone home?
I'd love to call my husband and tell him.
Oh, she was trying to get the water bottle cap off.
A little bit of pain going on there. So you start, one of the number one indicators of older age, grip strength.
Okay, I'm holding a plastic water bottle, just your average plastic water bottle. I take it nobody here glued this shut. Okay. Even like getting my compromised hand.
You're spilling it everywhere.
I am. I did spill that, didn't I?
So here's the funny thing is that we are trying to be environmentally sensitive with thinner plastic, less, smaller cap. But that's where green is now conflicting with a graying society because you need a bigger cap to get a grip. And with thinner plastic, you're.
So I thought that was pretty interesting, actually, what he just said there. That we're trying to be green, use less plastic. So now the cap on the water bottle is smaller and really, the senior needs a larger, larger something or other, but she's having a hard time even just picking up the phone. But it really simulates what it's like to be in that position. So hopefully you'll get some
the
good
look when she's sending a text too and the phone is right here. I mean, how many folks have we seen, seniors that we work with, and that's how they text?
That's true. Look at because
or stretch way out.
Those glasses are right. Those glasses. She said that she has hard time seeing normally, but they're like, well, we're still gonna put these glasses on you. So it's like a double whammy. She said she was just saying hi. And she's like, I think that's the HI, and I think I'm sending it to my husband. I get texts from my mom all the time that are strange. And I just know that yeah, I think, if I were to look on here, she'll say things like, I actually should, find it because they're kind of funny. Um, let's see here. What, oh, I get like a blank text. There's nothing in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That one. Um, let's see.
I got the voice one this morning.
Oh, yeah, you did?
Yeah, just hearing him get in and out of the car, crumbling in the pocket. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
funny.
There was no audio. When I saw audio message, I was like, he doesn't know how to send an audio message.
Well, in all
this?
fairness, I do that by accident sometime. And then I'm like, oh, I hope I didn't send that.
Whoops.
Yeah, so I do. I get kind of strange messages from time to time, and I, now I know why, right? I can't find other ones, but there were some. Maybe I deleted them, but they were kind of funny. But I hope that is helpful. I hope this is helpful. I really appreciate them doing this. I'm sure they don't have a million suits that they could send around to, people in a small podcast, startup like ourselves with just, 50 something followers, right? Or subscribers. But boy, if we got the opportunity to put that on, I would literally wear it. I would wear it for a minimum of 5 hours. That's it, I think. Like, or a maximum of 5 hours. I would give it 5-hour test, right? And then that might shut me up for a while.
I would give it 5 minutes. That looks
5 minutes.
absolutely miserable. Yes.
Well, she also had that weighted vest on under it, right? And I just got one of those. Have you ever used one of those weighted vests? Like,
I have 2.
No. You have 2?
I have a 10 and 20 pound.
You're a show off, Nikki. I
think the one I have, I got to work on my muscle mass.
I think the one I got is 20 pounds, and I just started to use it literally like in the last week. It's a game changer. So she also had that on underneath that suit. Anyways, fun stuff. Anything else to add?
No, be kind to folks who are going slow.
Be kind for
Start taking your supplements now.
Yeah, start exercising now. Be kind. Have some more patience. Okay, I think that about wraps it up for us today. Remember, the links to the YouTube that we featured here with Mel Robbins will be in the description below, as well as the link to her book, The Let Them Theory. And if you have something you would like to share with us, put that in the comments. We'll take a look at that. If you have any suggestions for us that we could do on a future episode, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to reach any of us, our contact information will be in the pinned comment. Thank you for watching.